Okay, welcome back, everyone. We're here again for another episode of the Zamora two-player podcast. I am your player one, Garrett Zamora, and I'm joined by my brother again, my two-player, Matt Zamora. Thanks for joining. All the way from New Zealand, sitting outside on a patio somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I've got my merino possum wool sweater going on, so a little bit cooler, but it certainly is summer down here. So hello from the southern hemisphere.
And we just got like 30 centimeters of snow, so
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
I think
just
you're sitting better than I am.
yeah, exactly. So anyway, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Cool. So, I appreciate you making time to do this. I didn't want to have to wait till like March to do another episode. So,
No, and I was just like, down here for work, but it was like, there's no way I can wait that long to do this podcast. So,
yeah,
so no,
exactly.
I'm happy to make the time. This is a highlight.
Cool. So today, I think I mentioned, I don't remember if I mentioned this last episode, but this week we're going to talk about video game music in general. Couple things that we'll talk about. And then this is probably going to be a two-parter because we definitely want to talk and can talk extensively about Final Fantasy music specifically. So I figured instead of doing a 4-hour episode of us trying to talk about everything, including that, we'll do like, half general music talk. And then next episode, we'll just talk all about FF music. Because I feel like we could easily fill, 90 minutes to 2 hours talking about that stuff.
It's crazy, like as much as video games have been a part of our lives, video game music has probably been an equal part.
Yes,
it's
as we will see
100%.
from this
Yeah,
discussion, there's a lot. There's a lot that
yeah,
happens.
eh, yeah. Like as much of a part as video games themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Uh,
perfect.
so yeah. So the first thing that I like, I think I alluded to this in our first sit down, but like, for me, it was like Final Fantasy VI. I say we're not going to talk about Final Fantasy as the first thing I freaking
Yeah,
say.
the
Uh,
first thing out of your mouth.
um, but it was like it literally was Final Fantasy VI for me. That was like it like unlocked like the what like I saw the potential that like video game music can have for like adding to the storytelling. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was like I'm pretty sure it was the opera scene in Final Fantasy VI that it was just like because you had to like memorize the lyrics sort of like at
yep,
least like 3 or 4 parts where you had to like pick the right one or whatever, which was always
yep.
like unnecessarily stressful because I didn't want to ruin the song. um
And there's a time limit associated with it
yeah, you
too.
had like
So yeah,
5 seconds to pick it or something like that. But it was like it was literally it just elevated it to a whole new level for me that it was just like this scene would be so dumb if the music wasn't good. you
yep,
know
yep. Yeah, it's just
um
like, what am I doing
yeah,
here? I'm
yeah,
I'm throwing flowers off a balcony. I
yeah, that's
I
all
just
that
defeated I
happens
just
in that
defeat
like 7 minutes.
I defeated a monster 10 minutes ago, and now I'm
Yeah,
the music better be pretty good for this. So yeah.
yeah. And uh speaking of which, and we'll maybe talk about this later in like a Final Fantasy discussion, but I don't know if you've seen the Pixel remaster for Final Fantasy VI. They like
Yeah.
fully redid that entire scene with like actual
You
vocals. Maybe I sent you a clip of it or something.
yeah, you sent me a clip because yeah, I haven't played the Pixel remaster. But yeah, that scene and it like like the whole scene kind of opens up, like it's just completely redone, and the music has been redone to,
Yeah.
to perfection. Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
it's kind of like what Octopath Traveler does with like the SNES style, but on like steroids. It's like
yeah,
it
yeah.
very much redid it in that, which made me kind of wish the whole game was like that. But beggars can't be choosers. I guess I'm just happy to
That
get them on modern platforms anyway.
they'll release that some other time,
Yeah,
and we'll buy it. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Well, I've already bought all the Pixel remasters on Steam, and they're coming out on PlayStation. I'm like, well, I want those trophies, so I'll probably buy them again.
no,
Just try and stop me.
Marketing at its best.
Yeah. So just very quickly about like FF6 and FF7 music that we'll talk about briefly, and we'll probably get more into this in the next episode. But I have them still. I think I have the FF6 ones. I don't know if I
Yep.
still have the Final Fantasy 7 ones, but we got the FF6 and 7 original soundtracks like from Japan, if I'm not mistaken, because they're all
Yep.
covers or and stuff from Japan. Was that like a Christmas gift, or like do you know how did we even get this? This was like what 98 or something. Like how did we get our hands on these?
Man, my favorite part about this podcast is like filling in the gaps in your memory because there are so many parts where I'm like, you don't know the full story? Oh man, this is like a staple to my childhood. So anyway, I'm just so glad that, and it's that 2 years difference. Maybe that's what makes it like solidified in my memory. But
Sure, yeah.
anyway, I'll maybe tease this for now. Maybe this is better in the Final Fantasy segment of our of this, but. It was like we got them from Japan. Mom got them from Japan, and I remember we loved the music from Final Fantasy VI, and then we're like, oh, OSTs, like we kind of in the early days of the internet, like figuring out what this is,
and where you can't just buy or download it.
No, because it was like, oh, movie soundtracks. Like, yeah, you go, a movie has a soundtrack. You can find that at Sam the Record Man, whatever. Like, you can buy the soundtrack to Jurassic Park or the soundtrack to whatever. But video games, nope. You just need to hold your recorder up to the TV, and that's the only way you can ever get video games.
Really, though, there was no other option.
Where do you go? Like, there's no. Anyway, so that literally was like, no chance. That doesn't exist. What the hell are you talking about? And it was like, oh wait, no, you from the manufacturer or whatever, from Square Enix, whatever. So, but you had to get them from Japan, and it was like, oh well, we asked Santa for the soundtrack. It's like, you know who can figure this out? Santa. Santa can figure out how to get an OST. He can figure
out how to import a soundtrack from Japan.
So insert Mom being like, oh god damn it. Like, well, can't you just get what last year you wanted Ninja Turtles, now you wanted a soundtrack from Japan in like 1995 or whatever it was. So Mom really had her work cut out for her. And then we got like obsessed with Final Fantasy 7, and then we're like, oh hey dear Santa, can we get Final Fantasy 7 instead? And then Mom just
same
like,
year.
The same year.
It wasn't even the year after.
No, same year. Like because we wrote our Christmas list in like June or something, right?
Right.
Or like April.
We wrote it early, yeah.
Yeah, like it was a year-long project, and then it was like November. Hey Santa, quick pivot. Can we get? We really like this new game. Can you just like
tell the elves to just
tell
hold
the elves
off?
to build the other one, whatever. Like just send FF6 to some other kid. I want FF7. And then we got it for Christmas, and I remember being like, oh, Final Fantasy 6. Oh, okay. Thought I was getting 7. And then look, I remember the look on Mom's face, just being like, "You better like this better than you're leading on right now." You pivoted too late, but I can't. Santa, you're not allowed to figure that out.
Yeah.
Anyway, but then I remember listening to it and discovering that soundtrack all over again, and kind of like,
and it was just because
like Fantasy 6.
Right, and it was just because 7 was the newer one with, which their musical limitations were a lot, higher on a PlayStation game. So it was just the new shiny thing, but we still loved the 6 soundtrack for sure. Yeah.
Oh, 100%. It was just new shiny thing. Your kids, right? Like, new Ninja Turtle that has a hat. Sweet. The other one in the garbage. New one. But I feel like it was maybe one of the first examples of like revisiting an old game, because growing up it was kind of like, you play this game, beat it, move on.
Sure,
when you replay value kind of wasn't a huge part of it, but that was like, oh man, Final Fantasy 6, the music is awesome. I should go and replay that game again. So yeah.
So and so that's a funny thing that you mentioned that, because like there's one point I had that it's like I am so bad, and this still happens to me like today, where I'll, be listening to music and at work when I'm doing like a little more like, tedious tasks or whatever. I listen to a lot of game soundtracks, which I know you do too. And I'll hear
Oh
like a song from like FF8. I'm like, well, now I gotta play FF8 again. Like, just like
yeah.
it's like the way we like I remember reading about it. It was like the way your brain rebuilds, or like when you recall a memory, your brain is like rebuilding that memory.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
not
yeah.
like it's just sitting there and you're like seeing it again. It's like your brain rebuilds it, and there's like just some innate like emotion you have attached to like how you felt when you were playing that game and you heard that song. It's like
Yep.
it's like gives you a small version of that every time you have that like vivid memory of something, and music just does that to me so easily.
Yeah, and I think, music, I think what you're saying, kind of music in general, and the
Yeah.
fact that it's video game music takes me back not only to like a specific time in my life, but a specific, you know, activity of a point in my life of loving that game, and
Yeah.
that's essentially why I listen to video game music all day at work, is because work is stressful, and occasionally I'll kind of get into, oh, this just reminds me of playing FF6
Yeah.
as a kid, and my biggest worry at that at those times was learning how to do Saban's text correctly. Like that was the biggest
Yeah.
stress of my life at
Yeah.
that time. Yeah.
And that's
Um,
also why I can't hear the first three notes of Aerith's theme without getting misty eyed.
oh, I
Because
mean
it just hits me
that's a
so
whole
hard.
podcast in itself.
Yeah.
Um,
um,
yeah.
but yeah,
And
and it has that effect on me. And like, I remember, I don't know why I remember this vividly, but I was like driving for work on my old job, like in the company vehicle, and I just had like my FF music playlist going, and it was like the FF9 final boss theme, which is
yep.
super good. And I was like, I'm starting this game when I get home tonight. I was just
Yeah.
like, I need to play this game again. This was so good. As if I don't always have a constant backlog of games. Play me one
Oh yeah.
song from like a Final Fantasy game, a Smash theme. I'm like, well, I guess I'm playing this one again.
And it's like total acceptance of just like, well, there's no denying this.
Yeah.
This is gonna happen. Um, the and it's just it floods you with those memories, and then
Mhm.
you're like, oh, I remember that, remember that, remember that. Yeah, I want to experience that again.
Yeah. Exactly.
And boom, there you go. Anyway, if there's like a model in the future where games, um, almost like subscription as a service kind of thing, where like you don't buy the game, you just pay for every time you replay it or whatever. It's like, they'd make a fortune off of that.
Yeah. I already do that. I already buy multiple copies of a game.
Yeah,
I'm
so you
already a
subscribe,
sucker for that.
whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, what makes you whatever makes people happy, right? So, I always think of it as like, oh man, this game cost me $70. It's like, yeah, but I got like 100 hours out of it
Yeah.
multiple
Oh
times.
yeah, I
Like,
get my money's worth out of some of those especially the
and
ones that I get that into.
the music
Helping
is
by
a
the music.
trigger for me, is to kind of go back as well. Like you said, it's like, my backlog of games I'm supposed to be playing, and it's just like, nope, OG FF7 gets put
Yeah.
right back up in the queue again.
Yeah.
Um,
I have
I
a I have a funny memory about when we got these soundtracks. We used to have
Which one?
like
The Final Fantasy ones, or
yeah, sorry, yes, yeah. The
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it was the sevens when we had gotten the seven soundtrack.
yep,
Um, we used to have these like parties within our like group of friends in like middle school where it's like there were like five or six people in like my class that would like every other month or 2 months or whatever, um they would like host a middle school dance party where they like everyone would get dropped off and we just have like the basement to ourselves and just and it was like middle school, like it was an innocent just little party. And
yeah.
we got
Like popping chips and music.
yeah,
Yeah, whatever.
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah, just
yeah,
yelling and dancing and being silly.
yeah.
And one of
Tell
these
me you put
parts
Final Fantasy song on at one point.
I brought
People,
the soundtrack with me, and it was like a lull, and I was just like, just
yeah,
went, and I was like, disc 2, track 13 or something, and it was like a boss theme. It wasn't
yeah.
even like this. You couldn't even disguise it as like, oh, this song's
Some
pretty groovy. Or it's like no, it was like the weapon battle theme or something.
Yeah, and people are just like, "What are we listening to?" Like this, this is a deep cut of something.
Yeah. And I was like, let me just play one, and then I took it
Like,
out after.
come on, people! Like, give me 30 seconds here. Like, I need this.
Oh,
Uh,
luckily that didn't get
but
me uninvited from the next party, but
no,
it was
no,
so
they let you
funny.
have your 30 seconds and then put in Ace of Base again or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, Chumbawamba.
yeah, no, exactly. Um, it's funny because this is a similar modern version of that. Is I remember this wasn't this year, but the year before. It was like, oh, what's your Spotify Wrapped playlist kind of thing, and just like, oh, songs you've listened to this past year, and had some friends over, like, oh, I went into deep dive of a lot of like, summer kind of chill out, yacht rock kind of jams, whatever,
Mhm.
and it'd be like, Matt, what was your like top 10? It's like, oh, you guys don't want to know my top 10. And like, no, come on. It's like, no, it's like I just listen to like video game music all day. And so like it's not interesting. And it's like, Matt, your top song of 2021 was Grandma. And it's the
Oh, from
near
Nier.
near near Automata. And they're just like everyone else had like really cool, like, oh, the weekend this or whatever. It's
Yeah.
like, yep, everyone, Matt's favorite song last year was called Grandma. And it was like, Matt, that's the biggest buzzkill ever. It's like, I know, I told you, don't listen,
Yeah.
don't look at my,
I warned
don't look
you.
at my, I warned you. It's like, and second one is like a Metal Gear Solid 5 opening theme. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
I listen to these things on loops for like months on end. So
Yep.
it's like, don't, I'm delivering what I promised.
Yeah.
Don't be
Yeah. You
shocked.
set the right expectations.
So yeah, my Spotify Wrapped is always really boring because it's like I listen to Octopath like nonstop for 6 months, I think, in
Mm.
2022. So anyway,
Boring for a party, not boring
yeah,
in quality.
yeah, no, yeah, boring for a party, yeah, because
For like
that
a
was it.
boat party or something.
It was like we had a bunch of people over. It might have been like at New Year's, and like, oh, everybody hook into the speaker and play the number one song from your Spotify Wrapped, and it was like, you can skip over me.
Yeah.
This is not gonna go well.
Yeah.
It's awesome,
Uh,
but I don't know if everyone's gonna be
Not
into
for,
it.
yeah, well, it's like me at that middle school party. That was
Yeah,
all
no,
for me,
exactly.
not for anyone else.
Yeah.
The
Um,
the last thing I'll say about FF specific music is, I remember being so obsessed with the Seven soundtrack that I
oh yeah.
printed off the Latin lyrics for One Winged Angel, and I read them every night before I went to bed.
No way.
I don't
That's
know why.
awesome.
Just and like to this day, I like I if I hear the original song, I'm pretty confident I could sing. I could like say the lyrics along with it still. Like they're just in my brain.
That's amazing. Like early days of the internet here as well, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like you were in
Found
the
it on like
deep.
a just like a text document. Like just the
Yeah,
lyrics
no,
written
exactly.
out.
And printed it off. Yeah, no, oh, that's so awesome.
Yep.
And hey, still relevant. I'm sure in remake, I'm sure you could sing right along.
So no, because they've changed.
Oh,
And
true,
we'll talk
true.
about I have a whole talking point about remakes music specifically for the next
Oh
episode.
yeah, yep,
But yeah,
yep.
whenever I hear the OG one, it's just like, yeah, I read those every night before I went to sleep.
That's amazing. I love that.
That was so dumb. Um, so other things besides, so the reason why I wanted to talk about game music is because like for me, it's like it will literally be the difference sometimes when I'm playing a game to like keep me playing. So an example I
Yep.
have is like,
I know you're going with this. Yeah.
well, this. Oh, maybe there's another one that this happened. What are you thinking? I don't think you know
It's
the
like
one I'm gonna say.
it's like Dragon Quest, maybe.
Oh,
I
did I
think.
tell you
Yeah,
this?
you
Oh,
did. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Very briefly. So I
So,
haven't heard the whole story.
so like on paper, Dragon Quest 11, like I should love, pretty much
Mm.
everything about, because it's like
It ticks all the boxes.
right, and it's like a
Yeah.
very like what's the word? Not cliche, but like when you think of like a turn-based JRPG, it probably does the thing that you're thinking, like in
Yeah,
every
yeah.
aspect. And it's got great characters. The combat is super fun. It's like challenging. It's most. I think it's all, at least the most recent ones, but I think it's always been the Toriyama like art style, because they all look
Right.
like
Yeah,
Dragon
yeah,
Ball
yeah.
characters, which I
Oh,
loved growing up.
another box checked that I wasn't expecting. But yeah,
Yeah,
like Toriyama kind of design. Okay, yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
I'm obviously into that, but it's like that music to me was just the worst. And it was like, and it's like, it's not, I don't want to like bash the composer or the soundtrack, but it's like it just added like almost nothing for me.
Mm, yep.
And as like one night I was like trying to explain my point to a friend who just they don't understand how important video game music is for me, for my enjoyment of the game. And I sent her a clip of like the final boss theme of like Dragon Quest 11.
Okay.
And then I sent her, like, I think I just sent her the regular boss, like FF7 boss music, but I also sent her like One Wing Angel. And I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you tell me which sounds more climactic between these two. This is Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just like, it's like, this does nothing for me. I cannot. And I literally, I did not finish that game. I got so far, or did I? I think I did finish. Actually, I just had to mute it and I put my own music on when I was playing, because
Yeah.
it literally took me just completely, and I just stopped caring about the story, because I don't know what it was. That music just makes such a difference for me when a game, because I feel like
Yeah.
a Final Fantasy game will have more budget in their soundtrack than like five other games that like just have generic, you know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
care so much about their soundtracks, and so
Um,
I've just been
and I
spoiled with
think
that.
like when the music is a character in the
Yeah, you
game,
said
right?
that.
Like it's like, oh, if the character development, or if you don't connect with the characters, or if the story sucks, or if the animation isn't great, or if the music is bad, it's an equal part to me.
Yeah,
The music has to be good, or it's just as flawed as, oh, the
as
graphics are
one of
crap,
right,
whatever.
or like,
Yeah.
oh, one
Yeah.
of the characters is just unbearable or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
No,
can it
it's a
can fall
total
apart.
part of the game. Yeah. Um,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and for me, I'm trying to think of the first time I recognized, like, oh wait, this music is worth stopping for a second and just soaking it in, or
Sure.
like, oh man, this music really adds to the narrative, or the scene, or whatever. And for me, it was not the opera scene, but kind of when you first get to um Figaro Castle in FF6.
Mm.
That, and I know it's kind of just a clunky kind of part of the soundtrack, but I remember being like, man, this sounds like exactly the music that should be playing at this place
It
at this time.
it has like, yeah, it has like a sort of like a regal sort of like
Yeah.
royalty sort of full sound to it, even though it's just
Yeah.
a bunch of SNES like audio
Yeah.
chips or whatever.
I
But yeah, the way they, yeah, well, I remember you had told the story. I think it was on the first episode, how it like ran to get mom to like listen to this
Yeah.
music. It's just like
No,
whatever.
exactly. Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to mention that in the first episode. But yeah, I
Yeah.
was just like, Mom, like, check this out. She was like, okay, sure. Uh, I'm still mad at you that you, or no, I guess the FF7, FF6
Oh,
music
that hadn't
debacle
happened yet.
that hadn't happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But anyway, no, no, exactly. So that's kind of where music became such a character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had talked a little bit about Chrono Trigger before,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that
Oh,
was just
that
right
soundtrack
around that
still is.
same time that we just started really loving music,
Yeah.
like in games, and like Frog's theme, Magus theme, and Scala's theme will
Oh
like
yeah.
forever be in my head. Especially, I'm pretty sure Scala's theme plays once. I'm
I know.
pretty in like a replay of a couple years ago now. I'm like, man, when does that song? When do I get that song?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, oh, I'm pretty sure you get it like once when you talk to her. When you're in the 600 AD or whatever. I forget the time periods, but you like meet her and Janice, and I'm pretty sure it
Yeah.
plays then. And I don't think it. I could be mistaken, but I don't think it plays. I'm like, how did that song just stick in my head that hard?
Get
Like,
its claws right into you. Yeah.
yeah, it just like, oh god. And like Frog's theme, I before I even knew what video game covers were, I was looking for people doing Frog's theme and with
Yep. Oh yeah.
different instruments or anything like that.
Well, I remember like you and we talked about Jason and Melissa on this
Yep.
podcast before of like friends that we'd go family friends that we go camping with all the time. You and Jason were like obsessed with learning some of these songs on the piano. The basic melody. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't anything too crazy, but like you would I feel like I would try and dip in, but you guys were the ones who did it the best. But like you'd learn stuff and then like when we'd meet next time I was like, "Hey, did you figure out some more, verses to it or something like that? Like, how are you coming along on Frog's theme on the piano, whatever, and just like,
So
and going along?
so I
It's
have a
pretty
very
impressive.
specific example of this
Oh,
like
okay.
of this happening was the Mushroom Kingdom theme from Mario RPG. And what how
That,
we would do it was like I can't like read music. Like you know what I
mm,
mean? Like I've just never been able to do that. So I don't know like what key is which
mm.
and whatever. And I'd get on the phone with Jason and he'd be like, okay, like I forget how I don't know if he taught me the keys so he could tell me which one's which, or he like had some other system where he like numbered them for me and just used that or something. But like over the phone, he would tell me which keys to press, like in order or
Amazing.
whatever, and I would practice with him. Like on the, I remember I had like the big giant cordless phone sitting on the piano. Like, okay, let me try. Put it down. Well, did you hear it? Did I get it right?
Oh man. And then mom's like, I need the phone for actual phone things. So get off the phone.
Yeah, yeah, for like
What do you what
hours.
yeah, anyway, let's call that OG Zoom call, just like
Yeah, yeah.
you know, cordless phone on the piano talking to your bud.
And it was
That's
like
amazing.
it was when we had the piano in like our main on like
Mm.
that, not the one that
Oh,
eventually got in the basement. It was like on the main floor in the living room.
completely disruptive. Like, mom has like friends over and yeah, anyway, just stupid kids.
Yeah, I think I might remember the first like 10 seconds of that song if I really looked at it. If I looked down and tried to play it, I bet I could get the first like 5 or 6 seconds of that melody still. But um, and I remember he did the same with like Kefka's theme, just like the
Yeah.
very not didn't go super crazy into that. Like didn't learn the whole thing, but I remember he taught me part of that. Uh, there was a
Yeah,
point. Oh, go ahead.
Kefka's theme and Mushroom Kingdom from Mario RPG. Those are the two that I vividly remember.
Yeah,
Maybe you'll jiggle memories loose in my brain here, but those are the two that came top of my mind.
those are the main two for sure. There
Yeah.
was a point where I think I figured out like the Zelda theme, and there's like a Hyrule Castle theme from Link to the Past that I really liked. I think I like when I was playing piano like more and was
Yeah.
had a little better ear for it. I like figured out like those two themes at some point too, and I would just
Yeah.
play those by myself or whatever just for fun.
Did I feel like Mike, our cousin Mike, also got in on this a little bit, but I remember Mike, like his goal was to play the Kefka theme as fast as humanly possible, and he thought like that was him getting better at it. So,
The more times I do it, the better I get.
and I just keep going faster and faster and faster. And I remember being like, Mike, enough. Like it's like
I
this
can
is
I can
stupid.
hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I remember vividly being like, play it normal, please. but that's not Mike's speed.
No, no, he will take whatever we are trying to, you know, enjoy and just find the most annoying way to reintroduce it to us.
It's like it becomes more menacing. No, it doesn't. It just gets more annoying.
Yeah. And
Um,
oh yeah, that that
the and I remember Jason at one point, like I remember he went away one summer and came back, and he had like you know a two hand like with chords in the background and the pedal for kind of uh I don't know how piano works kind of
is it reverb? I forget what it's called on piano, but
anyway the right pedal to
yeah,
kind of extend the sound. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm just like whoa, okay. Like
And
we were
because
just kind of
it should be
yeah
noted, like our friend Jason, or not, he was a phenomenal piano player. He was
he's
very
like
good,
he's a
so he
great
could
guy.
actually read music and like do both hands, which I had a hard time doing. Yeah.
We'd come and like, oh, okay, I think I get this figured out, and then he just like, boom, and like, okay, well, there's no point of me doing this
Yeah.
anymore.
We were like the
Uh,
equivalent of like hot cross buns with your
yeah,
knuckles.
and it would be like, Jason, why did you go first in like this recital in front of our parents here? Like Jason just completely like, oh well, okay, here's mine. It's the
Yeah.
same song. I'm not playing anything different. Just shittier.
Yeah.
That's what you're gonna hear. Thanks a lot. Um, do you remember just as a little bit of a pivot, but like getting OSTs, okay, we got the CDs um from Japan and some of these things, but then when like the internet kind of took another skip where it was like, oh, okay, download something on Winamp, or
Yeah.
not download it, play it on
Play it on
Winamp,
Winamp,
um,
but download it with
and
whatever
and it'd
Napster,
be like,
Kazaa.
yeah, Napster, because I ruined the family computer.
Yep.
FF6 opera scene dot 74 dot exe dot Lincoln Park dash dot whatever.
Yeah.
And and okay, get those 2 MB download. So okay, naturally it's going to take 7 hours.
Yeah, we didn't have good internet.
And then take up the whole dial-up modem, no one get on the phone for a while, kind of thing. But
Yep.
that was like the next level for video game music for me, was downloading.
And it'd just be finding like, obviously finding like the music itself, but then finding like remixes. I think I had like 37 different Legend of Zelda like EDM like
Yep.
dance remixes or something.
Oh man, like I wish every iteration of every computer we've had, we never kind of saved everything. Like the MIDI files that we had of old stuff, like just we have such an archive. It's all probably gone forever,
Yeah.
but we had so much stuff.
There were some
I
random
remember,
CDs that Mom had found when she's cleaning out like the storage room that was
oh,
behind
nice.
your room.
Yep,
And
yep.
I think Mike has them, but there were a couple like Garrett's mix or whatever, and it's like, yeah, there was like 17 Zelda tracks on that on that CD, or like a bunch of random Final Fantasy,
Yeah.
covers or whatever. Yeah.
I remember we downloaded a like the opening credits to FF6, the where they're walking in the snow
Oh
with
yeah.
the Magitech armor, yeah, that orchestrated version. And so I mean we could do a whole podcast on orchestrated versions alone, but orchestrated version of that we downloaded on the computer. We couldn't burn CDs yet,
Nope.
so it was just literally put the like recorder tape
Sure,
recorder,
and record it
ex-
from the speakers.
record it from the speakers, and then we would get Mom or Clarence to put that in the tape deck in the car going places. And I remember once we were going to I vividly remember this, and I don't know why. We're going to Jason and Melissa's again, who lived in about 40 minutes away, but seemed like a day-long journey when you're a kid.
Yeah.
And Clarence was taking us there in the truck. So it was Clarence, you and me in the truck, and like, oh, Clarence, can we put in this mixtape? And Clarence being like, okay, sure, what's this gonna be? And it's just that at real like rough quality.
Real staticky sounding and
Yep. And Clarence never kind of said anything. And then when we got back home, Mom had said like, Mom had said something to trigger like, oh, you listen to this thing the whole way to Petticodiac. And Clarence's reaction was something like, hey, listen, it's not like something super crazy like death metal or something like that. It's like, I can listen to this, I can get on board with this. It wasn't something screaming in my ear, so this was fine. But
I don't
anyway, it
remember
was so
that.
fun. Oh, just like, hey, Clarence, can we put this in orchestra in like the truck,
The
beautiful
shitty,
masonry truck.
speakers.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's
going to
rattling,
Petticodiac.
and couldn't probably hear it very well, and yeah.
Oh, like crank the sound and you can hear the
Yeah.
white noise just as loud as the actual kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. God, when we could start downloading music, we had just so many different versions of it, and then, eventually on, YouTube, just so many, because I think you mentioned Brental Floss in the
Yeah.
first
Oh yeah.
episode, and we
Yep.
definitely will go down rabbit holes of video game covers and stuff too. Like that's I have so much of that now saved on like my Spotify, and
Yep.
I listen to those just as much. Um,
Oh,
Brendan Frost was
Brenna.
probably the first one that I really remember like listening to a bunch of his stuff, like hearing one and be like, oh, like what else has he done? Like him
Yeah.
and
Oh,
Smooth McGroove. Those are two
yeah.
that come top of mind that were the earliest ones that I really like paid attention to, and would always look for new stuff of theirs.
Oh, totally. Yeah, Brental Floss kind of that changed the game for me. Like kind of putting lyrics to old school NES games,
True.
and
Yeah, that's
stuff like
true.
that. Yeah,
Because it
yeah.
was
Because
it was less covering the song in just a like a true cover, and more like putting that was the spin he'd put on it, is like add lyrics to them that wouldn't necessarily have lyrics,
oh
and they're
yeah,
always
no,
really
exactly.
funny.
And I only really discovered that like in grad school, like
Yeah,
so
yeah, that would have
well
been
into
like college,
adulthood kind of thing.
university days for me by the time
Yep.
we really
Um,
started looking at that stuff.
yeah. Oh yeah. But I remember early days of video game music was I remember we'd record NES and SNES like same way. Okay, put a tape in the
Yeah.
tape deck, shove it right next to the TV screen, um, start the level. Don't do anything so that no enemies or pew pew pews kind of start happening or whatever.
Sure.
Record the song for let's say go through one or two times, fade it out, getting real fancy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And then using that tape as like go to sleep music. Like, oh, okay,
yeah.
I'm going to bed. I'm
And
gonna
I
put
still
in
do
my
that.
oh, totally. And I'm trying to think. I remember Darkwing Duck on Nintendo doing
Oh,
that for every level.
such a good soundtrack on that game.
So good. And like announcing like myself which level it is on the tape and just like who Electro Man stage or whatever,
Yeah,
and
I
then
don't
letting the
remember the
music
names.
like just DJing it kind of thing, and just being like, yeah, this is cool. This is this is
And
pretty cool.
the best part about that would be like the music we'd be playing, and you do the like fancy like fade out, and then you just hear
Yeah,
like it fade out, so the music would go down, and this like the clicking the stop or whatever. Like, it would be so jarring.
because even if you did it real lightly, still
You'd
you
hear
can't
part
you
of
can't
that.
escape.
Kunk. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I remember Mega Man X games. I did that technique, that recording
Sure.
technique for all the Mega Man X games, and I also remember it was pretty easy because like most stages you'd arrive and like nothing was happening.
You had a safe like
Unless
starter screen kind of thing. Yeah.
exactly, so you could kind of get the start of the music without it being a clunky, anyway, you just start recording and then pick the stage and you're good to go. But there's like when Zero rescues you later on, like I can't remember, maybe Mega Man X2, but like if you didn't find all of Zero's parts, there's like or sorry, if you did find all of Zero's parts, you are about to fight Zero, like a gray one, and then
Yeah.
real Zero comes in and saves
I
you
think
or
that was
whatever.
2. I think that was X2.
And like every Mega Man X game, the music's amazing, and like every Mega Man X game, Zero music is always like out
Yeah.
of control.
It's always so good. Or I
and I
think it was
remember.
X3, but yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
so and then I really wanted that track, but you could not escape because he like did like 1, 2, 3 fireballs and a sword or whatever to just, and then that's when the music started, and you really, it was always like, it's like, ah, crap, I really just want the
Can't get a
music
clean
here.
start.
Can't get a clean start, but so my mixtape for that one was riddled with actual pew 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 noises, but whatever. It was impossible to get around that
Only
because where
other,
could you
yeah,
find
it was the only way
where
to
could
get that song.
yeah, where video game OSTs didn't exist, so that's the best anyone could ever do.
Oh, that's. I definitely forgot we recorded them that way. But
Oh man, no,
yeah,
and like
it's just the only way we could do it.
and we didn't have like if this was 93, we weren't using a recording device from 93. It was like from 75. Like
Yeah,
it
it was
was
like
like
a
an
walk. It
old.
was like literally a Walkman or something. Like, well, I guess
Yeah,
not because you can't record on those. But yeah, it was not a fancy recording device.
it was old. Yeah,
Yeah,
and slightly broken.
yeah.
But anyway, it worked. Got the
It,
job done.
it did the job for us. Yeah. Um. So you mentioned a song from Nier earlier,
Yeah.
Automata, and I have a point written down that's just like Platinum Games and their music. They have such a good way of like pairing their soundtracks so well with like what's happening, like whether it's for the emotional moments or whatever. But the thing that I always remember is like their like how well their like boss themes sort of
Yep.
like evolve sometimes or escalate as like the boss fight goes on. And the thing I think about, I don't know if you remember, at the end of Automata, and it's
Mm.
like the actual end when you do like the what is it, 3 playthroughs and you get to the end of the third one,
Oh yeah.
and
Yep.
you're like fighting this big robot like as you're on this elevator, but you're like fighting it back and forth as like
Yep.
9S and A2 like going, and it's like the music does not cut that whole time.
Yeah.
And it just keeps getting, I feel like it just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
um, and like literally like all of the modern platinum games are
Yep.
just so good at like picking music that suits the action, and like Nier is just such a gorgeous soundtrack.
Oh yeah. And I find near Automata or even
uh,
sorry, the
the original Nier, but the what was it, what was the remaster? Is it
oh man,
Reincarnation?
sorry,
I forget now.
no, crap.
I played it.
Sorry,
I'm gonna
yeah,
look it
played
up.
it. Yeah,
uh
anyway,
Nier Replicant, I think.
Replicant. Sorry, yeah,
Yeah,
Replicant.
okay,
Yeah.
that's right.
Not only like some of these other games, they're not only the music is not only a part of the story, but it escalates as the intensity of the moment kind of happens, and
Yeah.
that's what's great. Like that exact fight that you're talking about, or even before, like where you fight like the it's like an opera singer and it's huge.
Oh yeah, and like
Uh,
she's singing like to
yeah, yeah,
you almost like as you're fighting her.
and it intensifies and intensifies. I remember like having to hit pause and being like, "What is happening?"
Yeah, because visually there's a lot happening in those boss fights in that game too.
Yeah, so it's like visually, yep, but then like just the music got me so worked up. Like it's almost like I could have handled it without the music, but the music was just like got my heart rate going so
Yeah.
high. And it's
Yeah.
like, okay, hold on, break. Like Jesus, like this is too intense for me. Like I'm gonna pass out here. Like relax.
Yeah.
Go get a drink of water and like chill because you are stressed out right now.
Yeah.
And to me, I don't think of that as a negative. I think of that as just like I'm in the game right now. It's like I
Yeah.
need to step back and embrace reality for 2 seconds so I can kind of
And,
compose myself.
and that's what I mean. Where like that's where a game with bad music can just like, okay, like I feel no threat from this boss right now if
Yeah,
I'm
yep,
getting like stupid wind chimes in my ear or something.
yeah. It
Um,
kind of it's like the stakes feel real, and you're
yeah.
just like this is a video game. Like
Yeah.
relax, dude.
Yeah, I know.
But it kind of the immersion. of the game kind of can benefit from the music can help in that regard for sure,
And it's not like Platinum has like they're not like a one trick pony with like, oh, all of their soundtracks will just sound like this. And it's like, because you
Mm.
look at like Nier, both Niers, and their incredible soundtrack. But then you look at something like Metal Gear Revengeance, and like
Yeah.
that game is so hammy. But like that Rules of Nature song comes on, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna cut up every building in this city right now. Like,
Yeah. Oh
just
yeah.
try and stop me.
Well,
Throw
and then you
this.
go do that.
Yeah. Just try
um
and stop me from running up the arm of this 3-story tall Metal Gear and then whipping it around into a skyscraper while
yeah, yeah,
Rules of
no,
Nature is
exactly.
playing.
um and I think that might have been my introduction to Platinum games was the Revengeance.
Did you not play
And
Nier first?
no, no.
Oh, okay. Because
Yeah.
I skipped it. So it's kind
You
of the
did, yeah.
reverse for me because I don't think I knew after I discovered Platinum games, and I think Nier
Yeah.
was the first one that I really no Bayonetta. I played a lot of Bayonetta,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
that's why someone told me I should try Nier because it was Platinum Games. And then I don't think I knew after I sort of realized who Platinum Games was and how I really
Yeah.
like their stuff. Um, I didn't realize that they made that Revengeance game because I don't think they were. I'm pretty sure it was going to be Konami originally, and then something happened and Platinum took it over or something. I don't have the
Yeah.
details, but I think it was something like that.
I remember there was some drama in the dev of that game, and I think it might have been like, oh, this has been uh, changed to Platinum and to kind of retool it, kind of thing
Right.
within the development. But um, but no, that because that was a PS3 game, and I remember being like, this game looks like it might be what I wanted Metal Gear Solid 2 to be. Like,
Sure.
Raiden wasn't exactly didn't exactly do it for me in Metal Gear Solid 2. And I was like, oh, it's gonna be like the cyborg ninja, but you can control him. And it's like, no, that wasn't really what it was. And
Yeah.
then Revengeance was like, oh yeah, it's that, but like in a way that you would never imagine in your wildest dreams, kind
And
of thing.
like the most
Uh,
over the top summer blockbuster. Don't worry about like any of this making any sense whatsoever, but it's going to be fun in that
I
kind of
and
way.
I think I played like a demo. We talked about demo discs, but this was just like, yeah, just a time demo or something through the PlayStation,
Yeah,
whatever.
they
And
had
it
just regular demos, yeah.
all it was essentially like the level and the fight that you have with the dog or the wolf kind of
Mm-hmm.
character. And that music builds and builds and builds. And anyway, he's like throwing knives at you, and like his tail is a chainsaw, and you're like cutting that off, and the music completely suits every single action, and you're just like, I remember being like, okay, what am I playing? Like,
Yeah.
um, and I was like trying to describe it to you, and I remember you were like, oh yeah, it's a Platinum game. Yeah, not surprised. And I was like, no, you don't get it. It's insane. Nothing makes any sense. And the music just like completely every note and every kind of action, you're like, yeah, it's a Platinum game. Get with the program, Matt. And so I was like, there's a lot that I need to learn.
Because at that point,
And
I
then
had played Bayonetta 1 and 2, and
yeah, yeah,
those are most similar to Revenge in terms of insanity happening on screen. That you're just like, sure, this might as well be what this button does, I guess. Like, it's so insane.
and I remember like then you play the actual game, and then okay, you actually fight Metal Gear Rex or Ray or whatever, kind of in the first level. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, fight Metal Gear first level. Okay, sure. Um, and I was like, okay, so Garrett, picture this. Like the music is crazy, and it's like some ridiculous guitar solo, and then you like throw it up in the air, and then you cut the whole thing in half, like split it down the middle, and it's like, yeah, okay, cool. No, it's like Platinum Games. Like, no, it's like the size of like 20 buildings, and it cuts, and the camera is right here as you cut right through, and you're like katana right through, and you're like, yeah, okay, cool. It's a Platinum game. I'll probably play it again. You are not at the level of excitement that I want you to be at.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played Platinum games. I know what I'm up for. I will play it. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was less. It was more just like not being surprised that a platinum
Yeah,
game would do that. It was
yeah,
nothing to the quality of the game, but because I just didn't. It was not even on my radar, and I until you talked about it, I was like, oh yeah, like that is Platinum Games that did that, and now I know what their bag is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And then when I picked that game up, I like played it once, played it again, and I think I went through a third time. Just like
yeah,
I like New Game Plus like 3 times in a row. I was like, okay, I think I'm good because I think I went up a difficulty every time.
yeah.
And I didn't do whatever the highest one. I couldn't do. I couldn't make much progress. I think it's called Revengeance or whatever the highest. I could not get past the like sewer level. I think maybe, but yeah,
Yeah.
I did it on the ones up to that point. But just that music, like right when you do that, what you said, where you cut the thing, the Metal Gear right in half, and it's just like,
Yeah.
cue rules of nature. It's just like, it's so cool.
Cause yeah, no, exactly. And I think in my mind, I had to convince you how cool it was, and you were just like, Matt, I'm convinced. Like all you had to do was play, say, Platinum Games. I guess okay. So everyone's homework here is YouTube, rules of nature.
Just watch that opening fight with the. Like, it's like probably like 5 minutes of that like
Yeah.
opening boss fight. It's
And
just so
if
so good.
if you like that, the one to me is fighting. Yeah, the wolf. I can't quite remember what scene it is, but anyway, Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, wolf fight, soundtrack.
Uh,
That'll get you there.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And even like the chick with like the all the robotic arms,
Oh,
the theme for
that
her
one's
is
that
so
that's
good.
number two for me. Yeah,
Oh man,
and because
Platinum
that like
just knows
you're
how to like match their tone of the game with like the perfect soundtrack.
you're like running across like a silo as it's falling down, and you're like cutting it beneath you, and every music note is right on.
Yeah, it's so
It's
good.
just insane. The music is just oh, I what my problem is right now. I'm gonna go play
You want
Revenge
to play
as soon as I can. Yeah,
it?
trip's canceled. We're
Yeah,
going.
yeah. This podcast, the topic was a bad idea. We're just gonna
No, it's a
extend our
terrible idea.
backlogs.
Like I'm supposed to play Crisis Core. So that's next in my back. Like no, I'm like you're gonna see me on PlayStation. Like Matt's just playing Revengeance again, and that's you're gonna play that for a couple of years. Oh
Um,
man.
with so because you did go and play Bayonetta eventually, right? The
Yeah.
first one, yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it's like it's those are actually really good games to look at, sort of the like the on like two sides of the same coin where they're both insane, like
Yeah.
actually insane, and like the lore of Bayonetta gets so wild, but it's like a jazz sort of like a
Yep.
jazz, and it's like I love all of this music too, and it fits her like perfectly. And it's just yeah, Platinum Games just they just know how to pick. They know it's like they know exactly what they're making every time. There's
Yeah.
another one on like Bayonetta 2 and 3 were equally as good for their music like pairing with the game, and then
Yeah.
like they have a game on Switch called Astral Chain, and
Okay.
it's like that too. Just like it's a little more like serious tone. It's still got some over the top kind of craziness, but it's like a little more grounded in some ways. But like the music also just fits like perfectly for that game. Like there's
Oh.
like the theme. I'll send it to you after. I forgot. I should have thought of this earlier, but there's like the theme because you're like cops in that game essentially, and the theme for like your police department. I will listen to that on repeat for like hours. It's so good, and it's just yeah, they just know exactly how to find the right music to match their games.
Please send it to me for sure.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, there's kind of an art to it, and that might be you had a word for this, and so not to put you on the spot, but if you can remember, I remember like learning about and it might have been Nier Automata. That was the first time I encountered this, where like it's not a loop of one song that it kind of changes dynamically with the progress of the fight. And I know
Um,
Remake does it a lot. Um,
I
and
think it might just be
Autom
called modular.
yeah, or dynamic soundtrack
Some
modulate or something. Anyway,
yeah, I can't remember
it's
the term, but yeah, it's like depend. It's like it will play 6 versions of a song, but only
mm,
play one at a time. And like as you
mm,
do, So like I know 7 Remake does that a lot, where you're like
Yep.
you have the normal like area theme, like make a reactor theme, and then as
Yep.
soon as you get a fight, it'll pick up at that point in the song at the higher
Yep.
intense version.
And
And
it's
yeah, Platinum does that too, I believe.
and it's kind of like there are one, two, three, like five songs playing at once, but the one that's going to your ear holes is kind of this one. Now it's this one, and but it's at the same stage
Yeah,
of one, two, three, four, five, but it's just kind of going. Oh, he's in a fight
it's
now. Oh, he's kind of sneaking around. Oh, he's in a
yeah,
boss fight.
but it's at the
Um,
same like part of the
same.
song essentially. Yeah,
Yep. And it's like, oh, that'd be super clunky, right? Nope. They somehow figured out a way to make it seamless.
yeah.
And I remember seeing an interview with the team that composed the music for a remake and talking about that specifically
Yeah.
and being like, it might have been one of the, Final Fantasy 13 or 14 or something that kind of
So
did it for the first time.
I don't know if it's the first time, but 14 does it a lot.
Okay,
There's a lot
they're
of
referencing 14.
dungeons. Yeah, there's a lot of dungeons that have like the calm version playing, and as soon as you start fighting something, it picks up at that point in the song at like the battle version or whatever.
Yep, yep. And like to me, the Mako reactors, that's a great example, like the first one.
Yeah.
But Genova, sorry, spoilers.
Oh
Anyone who
my
hasn't played Remake,
god.
that gets to a point of just like this game is perfection.
When
uh,
so I had a point about this in the FF specific, but I'm going to talk about it now because when you get to like the third phase of that Genova fight in Remake, and
Yeah.
that's when like the melody you're thinking of when you think of Genova theme, that kicks in at like full force. It was
'cause I
like
think
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say the first like two phases I think are just like the Shinra building music theme, or maybe it's a bit of Genova. No, you're right. You're right. Never mind. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I can't
Yeah.
yeah, I can't quite remember, but it's like you don't hear that like melody that you're thinking of when you think Genova theme.
Like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah. That
And
doesn't really kick in.
when I got to that point in the game, it was like 3 or 4 in the morning when I was playing because I was like sensing I was getting close to the end. So I'm like, I'm not going to sleep. So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna. And when that phase kicked in, because you get like a little mini cutscene, right, and then it zooms back out to Cloud or whoever you're controlling,
Yeah.
whatever, and that
Yeah.
music kicks in. I literally sat on my couch. I stood up, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" It was just like I was so overwhelmed with like emotion because that theme is just like one of my favorite songs from OG7,
Oh,
and just like hearing it, oh, just right kicking in right when the battle picks up, and because I feel like the drums start like really kick in right when that theme happens, so it's like way
yeah.
more like amplified, like the rhythm or whatever of that song.
Yeah.
And I just like, I don't even think I said, "Oh my god!" I think I just
Yeah.
I think I just screamed because I remember immediately being like, "Oh, oh shit!" I don't want to get
Yeah.
a noise complaint.
Um,
I couldn't handle it.
And it was like I think I had the quite literally, if we were being recorded, both, you could put those side by side, and I'm sure they were exactly the same. 'Cause that was
Probably.
exact. Because it was like I was playing it, I was like, oh, okay. I think I just need to like get out of the Shinra building. If the OG story, holds up, and it's like, oh, okay, maybe Rufus is here at some point, but there's not much between now and then. And it was like, oh,
Here's a
okay.
Genova fight for you.
So it was just like, oh, okay, I'm fighting something, and the music it's pretty calm, like
Yeah.
it's very, it's like it's not really even a battle theme at all. It's very somber, and you're just like beating away. It's not really doing much. It kind of whips you every once in a while, or like entangles you, or does a status
Weird
effect or something
spells
like
and
that.
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
And like, okay, it's like I'm just fighting Genova or whatever, and it's like, wait, no, I'm fighting Genova. It's like, and then boom, we're just like, it's like I'm fighting Genova right now. But like that's what I was thinking. And in what actually came out was just
Yeah, I think that's like the same thing.
and I think like I was doing it for a while, and then like I had to pause, and I honestly thought I had like a little bit of a tear, and I was just like,
Oh,
why is this game so perfect?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely. And trust me,
just like
we will discuss 7 remake at length next time because I have
yeah.
a lot of points I want to bring up. But that one, just because you mentioned Genova, I had to get that part out. So it was just
And
such a
it
moment.
again speaks to just like man, the I had to pause it. The music had pulled me in too far, and I was like,
Yeah.
Matt, you were just playing a game. Like,
Yeah.
relax. And anyway, yeah, just the music sucking you in. That fight because of the music was perfection for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely was like a like proof of concept almost, like that they
Mhm.
could insert a Genova fight at that point in the game and it works, and they did it that well and the music was that good. It's like, yes, I will buy whatever you do with the next part of this game. Like, do
Yeah.
whatever you want. I'm in for the ride at this point. Like, I was
Yeah.
fully on board obviously by that point. um okay, let's take a super quick break, and then I got a few more points to talk about, and I have a fun little segment for us to do at the end. I won't make you talk about your platinum trophies this time, so you get a little break from that. But I do have a pretty fun little thing we can do to finish off. So
Awesome.
we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Cool. See you soon.
Okay, we're back. Let's keep talking about video game music because I feel like I could never stop talking about it. Um, So you also, one of us mentioned Octopath Traveler soundtrack. Now you haven't
Yeah.
played Octopath even, mostly because I know it was originally on Switch and now it's on PC, but you don't really have access to games in either of those markets.
Either of them. Yeah.
The second one, luckily, is coming out on like PlayStation, so I hope you get a chance to check that out at some point. Um,
Yeah.
but that is like, so not only does it play into the nostalgia of like SNES era JRPGs, which we are obviously very fond of, but it also like somehow gives like Final Fantasy level music in it.
Yep.
And it's like
Oh yeah.
not made by a composer that I'm aware of that worked on Final Fantasy. Maybe they worked on like helped on some or worked on a spin-off Final Fantasy or something. But it's, you know, it's not Uematsu, and it's not Soken who does the 14 and 16 music. I don't know who this person is, but I double checked to make sure they are doing the soundtrack for Octopath 2, which I believe they are. Um,
Oh man.
so that one was just like one of my favorite like modern JRPG like soundtracks. Like when it came out, it was like it was like one of the ones that I just could not get enough like listening to. And the thing that's neat about them, I guess you wouldn't quite have this context since you didn't get to actually play the game. Um, so there's like 8 characters, right? Like that's what the whole Octopath thing is, and it's like they each have
And
sort of. Sorry.
it's funny. Everything you say is going to be new to me. You're like 8
Sure.
characters. I guess that makes sense.
Sure.
I,
Um,
I know the music. I don't even know the names of the songs. I like hit play on the soundtrack and just go. So
yeah.
if it's like, oh, phase theme, I don't know what that is. How does it start? I'll recognize it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So
I'm just making up a name, but yeah,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
so it's like, yeah, you get like 8 characters, and like they each have, I think it's 4 story beats, like 4
Okay.
main plots, or is it 3? I can't remember now. I feel like it's 4, but anyway. And like they're sort of independent of each other. Like you get some little banter between them, like as you recruit them all or whatever. But each of them has like an instrument associated with them, and I don't think it's like part of their lore necessarily. It's just like probably a little more inspired by like the area of the world that they're from or whatever.
That's
Um,
cool. That's
and
again, that's clever storytelling through music.
yeah,
Like yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
That's what I thought of
yep,
when you said that. Um,
yep.
and like so each of their individual themes obviously like heavily features whatever instrument is associated with them. But one thing that's really cool is, and this is, I don't know what the term would be for how this technique is, but when you get to like the end of one of their chapters and you're like
Mhm.
confronting like the boss, you have like the dramatic, you know, parlay before the battle or whatever. Um,
Okay. oh, it's a JRPG, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
Yeah, you have the dramatic, him telling us his whole plot so that when we kill him, we can follow the
Yeah.
clues he just gave us.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Makes sense.
and during that, there's like this, I forget what it's called. I won't remember the name of this song, but there's a track that plays that sort of like is like slowly building up while they're having this conversation, and then like whether you mash the text or like let it play out a little more slowly, like
Mm.
as soon as like you hit that last text box and it goes into the boss fight, it will like
Yep.
transition from whatever part of the song it's in right into the boss theme, like very
Oh,
smoothly.
just awesome.
And that like build up part is I'm pretty sure is like heavily featuring that instrument of theirs. So it
Oh, okay.
sounds a
Gotcha.
little different per character when you get to that point. And it's like hard to notice unless you listen to them back to back, but then it just makes way more sense, and it's probably just more subconscious than anything of really feeling like you're in like the deserty area when you hear the instruments that they use for that and stuff. Um,
I love stuff like that because it's done well when like you hear a song that you haven't heard before, but you can be like, oh, this is probably that person's theme or event or whatever because it's like it's a certain style and it's like, oh,
yeah,
this type of song or this type of sound I associate with that character, regardless of what the actual track is. So
right.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And so like that's just a really cool just little music technique they do just to differentiate the 8 characters. And like it's like when you're fighting enemies, like regular enemies in like the chapter 1 zones for anyone, it's got like battle theme 1, and then when you move on to like the chapter 2 areas and like the levels 20 to 30 or whatever, you get like
Mm,
battle theme 2, and it's just like, so as you're progressing in the game, like the battle keeps changing, and then like the boss at the end of chapter 1 is one theme, the boss at the end of chapter 2, which is my favorite, is like a different theme, and then the final boss of every chapter has its own theme.
man,
And it's just like
I
it's such good like musical storytelling, just so it because like I mean I'm okay with obviously Final Fantasy songs or games that have the same boss and battle themes all the way through, like that does not bother me, especially when the music is good.
yep.
But maybe because it's like a little bit shorter of a game, like it really helps feel that sort of progression as you go. But yeah, I mean, you've listened to the soundtrack a lot, so you know how good the quality of the music is.
Yep.
But yeah, seeing it in action, like when the battles and system in that game is so much fun. Like when that boss theme is like going, I'm like headphones on, like all the way up. It's just like it's such a climactic like build up when those boss themes kick in, and I just love
It's
that feeling, man.
that's super cool. I kind of, I've obviously I think my Spotify wrapped playlists are always somewhat weighted towards the first track of said album because
Sure,
like
you just
on a
start
work
it
day,
over.
I start at the beginning and I may not necessarily get through every track in a work day, but I always kind of start off at the beginning.
Yeah.
But like I think number 3 of my Spotify wrapped was like the opening theme to Octopath Traveler for 2022.
Yeah.
Because I played that one. I went through a long period of time where it wasn't only heavily featured, it was the only thing I would listen to. I was like, I'm in a good groove. Why move on to something else? I still love this as much as I did
Yeah.
excuse me, when I first listened to it. So yeah.
And I just
But
I oh sorry, go ahead. You finish.
I was just gonna say, it's interesting to know how the music is a character in the game because I just know it as a soundtrack, but how it fits into all these things is pretty cool. So no, I didn't know that. So that sounds awesome.
And so I just pulled up the soundtrack to look, and it's literally called like so and so's theme, like Ulbricht's theme, Primrose's theme, and stuff like that. So when you listen to the ones that are just called like so and so's theme,
Yep.
you'll like you can really tell, like knowing that you'll hear like how different the instrumentation is between each one, and it's all based on like whether it's like their background or like I said, the part of the world they're from. It makes more sense when you have that context. But yeah, whenever, I don't think it has all the different versions on the soundtrack. I'm just looking now. I don't think it has like all the different
Probably
versions
not,
of
eh?
that build-up
Yeah.
theme. I think it's called Tension, maybe. I can't remember.
I was
But
honestly
it's a
wondering. I was
YouTube
like, "Oh
thing.
man, are these all?" And it's like, that doesn't make sense for an OST. It's just like you got to just pick a generic one and cut your losses, kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I've definitely
Um,
seen that more on like just like on YouTube uploads or whatever, where people would put them all so you can hear the difference and stuff.
yeah,
Um,
as a soundtrack, it's like okay, 10 of the same song with a slightly
yeah,
different. It's like,
yeah,
just
not
play the
worth
damn
it.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like all the town themes in that game are so good. It's like a meme at work for me whenever I say such and such song is so good, because
Yeah.
like I mean it genuinely when I say that, but I say
Yeah.
it so much that my friend at work is like, "Yeah, okay, I'm sure it is." Like,
Yeah.
no, it really is though. So I
You're like,
catch
come on.
myself saying it now. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it's so good, isn't it?" Yeah,
That's
but it
awesome.
is.
But it is. I promise it is.
Yeah.
Um, oh man. Yeah, I'll now I gotta add that. Where am I gonna play Revengeance again, or am I gonna play Octopath for the first time? I don't know. It depends on what what other games we talk about soundtracks
Yeah, if
before the
anything
end of this.
bubbles up to the front of the
Yeah,
list.
yeah, yeah. Exactly.
Um,
Um,
so there's also it's like we talked about a lot about like orchestral soundtracks and stuff, which I feel like is more often the ones that are like high caliber, like high production quality. But like there's a lot of like non-orchestral soundtracks that like I still love to death, and like Revengeance is one of them.
oh yeah,
It's like it doesn't have to be a full orchestra to like add to the game as long as it like matches the tone like we were
oh yeah,
saying with like platinum games. And like Tekken is one we talked a lot about Tekken, which of course made me want to play some more Tekken, so I
yeah.
did.
Well, I think we did. We played Tekken a couple of nights ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So and it's like, man, the soundtrack in that game is so good too, like some of those stage
yeah,
themes. um and they're a lot more like electronic sounding for the most part and stuff. And like I remember there's one in Tekken Tag 2 that me and Mike always just call the rave boat.
yeah.
Where it's just like this big
I know
fishing.
exactly which one you're talking about. Yeah. Um,
It's like
uh,
super intense EDM.
yeah, it's just like crazy. We talked about this. It's funny that I specifically said this the other night when we played Tekken. Was Tekken 7, which is what we played. The opening menu when it's just
Oh
showing
yeah.
like kind of slow mo, fast mo, slow mo kind of scenes while you're picking what mode you want to play. Like I love that. Like every time I boot up Tekken, I'm just like, oh, okay, I'm gonna play Tekken. Then it's like, bah, it like goes in. I was like, oh yeah, yeah, we're playing Tekken is what we're doing. And it just like gets me in like, okay, get my Tekken grip. Go
Yeah.
to episode 2 yeah, if you haven't seen this yet. Get
Gotta
my
hold my
Tekken grip
controller
ready.
in this nonsensical way. Yeah.
It literally, um, it's hard to explain, but like that music, personified to me is like, okay, Tekken grip, mic down, like
Yeah.
let's dance. Like
Yeah.
that's the personification of of that music to
Yeah.
me. And again, it suits that game, right? You don't want
Exactly.
some swooping narrative. It's just like get ready to beat up your brother.
Yeah.
That kind of
Yeah. Yeah. It's just it fits that game so well. And another one, I feel like I saw some trophies. Maybe I know. I don't know if I did. Have you ever played much Borderlands?
Uh, briefly,
Okay.
yeah, I will say no. I dabbled in it, but like a different, almost like a spin-off game. But yeah,
Oh, that's what I saw. It was the
Tiny
Wonderlands.
Tina's or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
saw.
exactly.
I think
Yeah.
it made me think like, oh, has he played Borderlands? And then I just forgot the first part of that thought.
No, my I was over in Calgary and my buddy Cam was like, "Hey, let's play a co-op game." And it's like, "Okay, I don't know anything
Sure.
about this, but point shoot, sure,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out." Yeah,
Because that's another one that has like a much more like electronic sort of style. But it's like that game has a very silly tone. And when you're like fighting hordes of enemies with these really wacky guns, and it's just
yeah,
like this electronic music blaring in your ear, and it's like, I think it does a similar thing where it's got like a kind of calm version of a song of an area, and then the battle version kicks in. I feel like it does, and like that's another series where I have a lot of. I think I have a number of songs from like Borderlands 2 and 3 just on my Spotify,
Okay.
because they're just good songs like by
Oh,
themselves.
awesome.
But when you're in in a big shootout in that game, it really adds to like the intensity because it just fits the tone of that game so well. Um,
Uh,
oh, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, and it's again, it's the intensity of those kind of songs in a fighting game or a shoot 'em up or whatever. Whereas it's more about storytelling in other
Right.
games. Like just anyway, just game music in general just matters so much to me. And an honest question for you. Like when I'm playing, this started with like PS4 for me and onward to PS5. I play with like my headset, even if I'm not like actually kind of like chatting with anyone or
Same.
whatever. Like if I'm playing Remake, I play with my headset on.
Yeah.
And I know like it. So my question is like, am I losing some of the experience because I'm not employing like some of the sounds that can come out of your controller? And it's just like, no, I like this. Like I'm blocking out the entire world
It,
for the music. So I'm wondering, like, do other people do that, or am I weird?
I
But yeah,
I don't. Some people will like to flex their sound system if they have like a big amplifier and stuff. But even like so one of my last jobs, I set a lot of those types of systems up for people. So I've
yeah,
heard a lot of them, and very
mm,
high priced ones and high quality ones, and I'll still take a headset like any day of the week.
yeah,
Like the
and
crispness you get of that music quality, it's like not even just music, but like sound, like the sound of the game. Yeah, I will take that any day of the week for sure.
if I had a nice big awesome kind of stereo system, I might want to flex that a bit as well. But like it's like we don't have much, and there's like a dehumidifier in the basement, and it's kind of like I want to drown that out.
Yeah,
I want to drown out the whole world, and for me, headphones are kind of my way. So it's like some of like oh, you're playing Horizon whatever, and like you pull on your bow and you can kind of hear it through the controller. I
yeah.
lose that, but I feel like it does a good job of
And
um
I think games that use that, there's usually
mm,
somewhere in the menu where you can turn it off. So if you are losing audio because it's
mm,
directing it there,
yeah.
it will like send it to your headphones.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's worth
That's
checking because like some games definitely have that setting to turn that off.
because yeah, just to me, it's like I want like the subtlest of nuance of the music to like hear it, where I
Yeah,
feel like might be the ting of a triangle or whatever in the music, and I find that's the best way just to
yeah.
drown out the rest. So, anyways, that's because again,
That's how I
music
always
is
play. Yeah, if it's a
yeah.
game I like care about, and especially like first time playing through it, and I have this like little amplifier. It's like a little Turtle Beach amplifier that's like
Mm.
optical audio in, and then I plug my headphones into that.
Oh, okay.
So it's got yeah. It just I've had a thing. I'm so scared that it will eventually stop working because I don't think I can. I've had it for like 9 years or something.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I'm always headphones for sure.
Okay, cool, awesome.
Yeah.
And again, it's for music reasons. Like that's that's
Yeah.
why I do it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, so I had sent you a couple. I think I sent you two songs to listen to.
yeah.
So Xenoblade Chronicles is the first one I want to talk about because God, that those games are so good. They have like literally the best, probably the best in at least well within the genre because we talked about like tech and main menu music being perfect for what it is. But like,
Yeah.
let's say for JRPGs, it probably has the best, like main menu startup, like themes
Oh,
of any JRPG. Like I think all
awesome.
three of them, I think they're all piano. There might be some wind instruments in the third one, but like
Mm.
it's just like you just play it and like yeah, I'll sit here for like 5 minutes. I want to hear the full loop of this song, please.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and so one thing, the one I sent you for Xenoblade,
yeah,
is called "Engage the Enemy,"
yeah.
and that's the sort of meme of that song is like that is like the cutscene song. So
Oh,
when there's like
okay.
a big emotional, intense cutscene happening, or I guess it's the other way. When you hear the first couple notes of of that song, you're like, okay, someone's gonna die or something really bad is gonna happen. And I remember reading about this somewhere, but I won't get all the details right, so someone can correct me. But I feel like I remember reading how they they spent so much time. I think it was directing the cutscenes to the song and not the other way around, where it's
Yeah, no,
like, you know what I mean, like
totally.
because
Yep,
it's like
yep.
it it's not just like, oh, this is a cool song for when something dramatic happens. It's like, no, this song will swell and like hit these notes when this thing happens every time or whatever.
Yep, yep.
And like what that, and because like the first Xenoblade Chronicles was a Wii game and it only came out in like 2009 or something.
Yep, yep.
And we almost didn't get it because it was like a fan outcry to get it localized or something because it was Japan only for a long time, I think. And like I remember so many points in that game, and I won't spoil big things because
Yeah,
I
please
would,
don't, because I definitely want to play it.
yeah. Um, but like it was the music when it was playing when these things happened that I just like I feel like my jaw was just on the ground. Like I just couldn't
Yeah,
believe. And unlike the Wii, that game was not pretty, but it didn't even matter with how good this music built these scenes, and like you didn't care that their faces looked like PS2 ugly ass like painted on faces.
again,
Um
like music can if the music is incredible, it makes up for some of these other deficiencies,
yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah,
And
yeah.
like all three of the Xenoblade Chronicles like games, they all have like a cutscene song. Like
Okay.
it's very clearly like a choice that they made to like have their cutscenes play a certain way around their music, and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
three of them are excellent. The first one is my favorite, and for that cutscene song. But man, all three of them are just so good when that theme kicks in, and the way it made me like look at cutscenes and like and feel like the impact of these cutscenes is like what eventually became uh 7 remake for me, like in terms of
Okay.
how 7 remake does that too,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
way it
Yeah.
scores its cutscenes. It's like that this Xenoblade Chronicles 1 was almost like a precursor to like how good it's gonna get in, in the next 10 years or whatever,
Yeah.
because I feel like 7 remake, it's like 7 remake just has a different song for each big cutscene or whatever, whereas this uses like one, but they do it a different way, but it definitely has that same impact on me that like this cutscene without this song would just not work, like half as have like it wouldn't have half the impact that it has because they're pairing so well.
Yep, no. And I feel like Revengeance has a little bit of that where like the cutscene is based around the track.
Sure,
It's kind of
yeah.
like yeah. I was like, okay. Um boom, 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 boom. And it's like, okay, now what there are three super intense parts of this song. Uh Figure out the three most ridiculous things that could ever happen. And it's like the soundtrack is not to the game is working around the
Yeah, it feels
soundtrack.
like that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Whether or not, I'm sure there's more that goes into it for scoring a game,
Yeah.
but yeah, it definitely feels that way, and I love that feeling. Like it's just like hitting you in like like all the senses. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Yep.
like bombarding you, in like the best way possible.
Is there like you said that it's kind of they use the quote unquote same track for some sort of cutscene, and so it's kind of like, oh man, something's gonna happen. It triggers you to prepare. Are there any kind of memes associated with that? Like it's like, oh, using this song to take.
Yeah, actually, for sure there is, when it's like some I can't think of one, but it's like something happens and then it's like engage the enemy plays or something like that. Like
Like it's like take a very very obvious well-known pop culture movie reference and kind of splice in that is like, oh yeah,
yeah,
this is when uh Darth Vader cuts Luke's hand off or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
or whatever.
there
Yeah.
definitely exist things like that with this song specifically. Yeah,
Um
because it is just known as like when this song starts, like get your tissues ready, or like get like hold on to your butts because it's
Yeah,
gonna get intense.
um if this is too much of a pivot, get us back on track. But like, since we're talking about video game music, one of my favorite things that I saw a long time ago, a long time, 10 years ago, maybe something like that, was like this. It was like this a cappella goes with everything, and it was Smooth McGroove doing Guile's
Guile's
theme.
theme, yeah. Yeah. Because
I
there is a meme, just Guile's theme goes with everything,
no,
and then
and
his
that's
version was even better. Yeah.
and so it was like it was on Reddit or something like that. It was like this acapella goes with everything, and it was in itself a meme of
Yeah.
Guile's theme goes with everything.
Yeah.
And
I love
I
those.
the first time I learned about that meme, I didn't get the reference at that time, and it was like, oh man, this is acapella Guile's theme. I wonder why it's called that, and then that put me into a
The Guile's theme
YouTube
goes with
rabbit hole
everything.
of Guile's, and then oh man, like, and it totally does.
Yeah.
There's like it's something like Bloodsport with Jean-Claude Van Damme,
Sure.
and it's like
Any like
he like
90s cheesy action fighting movie. It's just
and
like,
he like
yeah, put that song in and it works.
it's and it's not even like a fight scene. It's him like doing like the dance, and it's just like, nope, this is
Well, he could dance
perfect.
to that song, yeah.
Um, and I feel like there's anyway all sorts of like Jurassic Park or so. Anyways, there's
Yeah,
just
yeah. I've been down that rabbit hole too.
anyone kind of listening or watching right now. Oh, that is a great wormhole because
Yeah,
you'll
that's a
definitely
good
find
deep
all
dive.
yeah, and video game music. So that's perfect.
Yeah. You could probably put it over this podcast and it would somehow find a way to work.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, okay, that's a task
Yeah.
for us.
You're not alone on that one. That one's definitely a meme.
That's
So
awesome.
the other song I sent you, I
Yeah, the
forget what.
Persona one.
I think it was "Take Over." Is that the one I sent? I think. Yeah, I said it was the
Yeah,
battle theme, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So Persona is a game that I'll talk more about later, but like it has like Bayonetta like maybe like piqued my interest a little bit for like a more jazzy kind of
Okay.
inspired soundtrack, but it's like within a shorter game and it's all like action songs, right? um Whereas like Persona is like that whole almost that entire soundtrack is like very jazz inspired, and like that is a game I played like 180 hours of in like a month. Like I played it twice, like immediate new game plus run through again, and that song I sent you, I mean I've heard it's every battle, like it's every normal battle, as I've heard that song like 1,000 times, and like when I go to work tomorrow, I'll probably put it on my music when I'm driving in. I just like I love the music in that game so much because it's like what we talked about a bunch of times already, how it's like it fits the style because that game is like comedically stylish. Like they
Oh
know
yeah,
how stylish they're being with everything
yeah,
in this game.
yeah.
Even like the menus in battle, I'll have to show you a picture of. It looks like graffiti art, like while you're just
Yep.
like picking your menus or whatever.
I know enough about the franchise to know exactly what you're talking about. Like
Sure.
it's just like,
Ah,
like yeah, that's
and
awesome.
and like yeah, it's there's so I've added so much Persona 5 music specifically to my like my Spotify playlist because it's just like there's it's just such a different genre that I'm used to listening to, like just outside of playing a game, and like talk about adding to a game's like feeling like that. God, the music in that game is so good. I would love for you to play that, but it is a long frigging game, and I'm not gonna put that responsibility on you because you are a busy guy. But my
Yeah,
God, that game is so good.
yeah, that may need to it'll go in the backlog, but I got to get through Revengeance and a couple of things there
Yeah.
first. Yeah, I'll get to it eventually. I'll let you know.
And it just like I'm even, oh yeah, actually I'm wearing my Persona 5 hoodie today too. Like I literally bought like a hoodie, like a wall scroll, like I was like I bought all this Persona 5 stuff. And
Sorry, real quick side note. Do you remember on Community when the dean he was like a level 5 influ impressionable or something like that, and it was just like um, very very mild marketing for like like Toyota products or something, and he had like his full office like outfitted,
Yeah.
and it was like what's wrong with you? It's like I don't know. I have bicycle friends now. And like I bought a motorcycle, and it's like because the whole subway influencing
Yeah,
or whatever. It's like, oh, he's a level 5 impressionable or something like that. Anyways, that's you.
that is 100% me when I get obsessed with a new game. So continuing on to that point,
Yeah.
Persona 4 and Persona 3 are on Steam now, so I bought those. They're like 100-hour games.
It's amazing. And
I
just like,
just can't
and
help
again, it's
myself.
just like, hey, just admit you love it, and like, who cares? Who's one to judge? It's just like, hey, whatevs. That's amazing,
Yeah.
but also hilarious.
And like truly a big reason why that game works so well for me is its music. Like it
Yeah.
100% adds. Oh my god, like yeah, just all the boss themes. It's got like just like the most relaxed, like jazzy, like over, like sort of it's not really an overworld, but when you're like, it basically takes place in Shibuya, and so it's like when you're
Nice.
walking around the streets of Shibuya, it's playing. One really cool thing I saw is like the voice actress for one of the main characters. She like went to Japan just on a trip or whatever,
Mm.
and like Persona is like insanely huge in Japan.
Oh yeah.
It is like
Yep.
so popular over there, um, and she was like wandering this, like she wanted to visit areas that were like in Persona 5 because a lot of them actually like side by side, like they look like
Yeah.
they definitely got like the imagery down, right? And so she wanted
Yep.
to like visit a bunch of places that was like featured in the game. And while she was walking through like the big like Shibuya like square, there's like this big Persona 5 just billboard that's just always up. And it was playing like the main Persona 5 theme just on these loudspeakers. Just happened to come
Yep.
up while she's walking through or whatever. And it was just like,
Um,
yeah, it was just so cool.
I don't know if we mentioned this at the top of the podcast, but I lived in Japan for several years,
Mm.
from 2011 to 2013, and yeah, I didn't know what Persona was, but like I'd go downtown
True,
Shibuya
yeah.
or Shinjuku and just be like, "What the hell is this?" It's like everyone just like literally puking. They're laughing at me so hard. And they're like, "Oh, Matson, like you crazy? You don't know?" Like my boss, like a 70-year-old professor, being like, "This is Persona. Like, how the hell do you not know what this is?" It's like essentially not knowing what air is down there.
Yeah.
But no, everyone would like be playing it at work or like listening to the music. My video game um, music obsession was much less nerdy when I was living there because everyone else was,
True,
kind of
yeah.
um,
It'd be more, you'd
there.
be fitting into that more.
It's like, oh, I listen to this. It's like some music. It's like oh, like Uematsu-san. It's like, yes, oh, yo, Nobuo Uematsu. Like, oh my god, okay, great, that's awesome. So, anyways, no, Persona was like crazy there. But yeah, I just I
Oh
haven't
yeah.
played it yet. But yeah.
Just and I'll send you some more because there is some good tracks that would be good just like work, work soundtrack type songs,
Mm,
because there's a lot of just very relaxed like instrumental stuff. So I'll send you more. I just wanted to like
thank you.
give you sort of an idea of like the style of music that they employ because yeah, it's just I've never listened to like that type of music truly like outside of a game, even inside of a game. Like not many of the games I remember for having good soundtracks have like more jazz sort of style, but like
Yep.
good god that I could listen to that soundtrack for hours. Like it's just so 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 good.
It's funny too. Like, I never thought about this until you mentioned it. How many times have I heard the FF7 battle theme? 500,000 is probably an
Yeah,
underestimate.
yeah.
And then like I'll listen to it, it's like, yeah, I love this song.
I know.
and and it's like, yeah, of course I listen to this every day, all day at work because I've listened to it 500,000 times and love it as much every single time. So it's kind of like it speaks to. It's like, Matt, how can you listen to that nonstop. It's like, well, because I listen to it nonstop while playing the game, so
Yeah,
it's just
it's
it's locked in there.
yeah, you have that like innate enjoyment of it, and it also is like, I mean, Uematsu is just masterclass.
Genius. Yeah,
So it also just speaks to like how to write a good song that the first 10 seconds does not get annoying, because
yeah,
like you'll hear that the
yep,
most because when you're in battles that are quick or whatever, like you don't hear the whole thing, right? But
yep,
then it's
nope,
like the second half of the battle themes are like really good. So when you're like in a more intense battle or like a harder
yep,
battle, it's like almost like a payoff that, oh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
at least I get to hear, that part of the song.
This do 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 part instead of the da, da, da,
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so yeah, like I said, I'll probably send you some more Persona music just for your work playlist.
Yeah. Oh,
Because yeah,
totally.
that one just left such a mark on me. Like, and it's weird because like I played Persona 5 like 2 years ago or something.
Hmm.
And I played it all the way through, and I did enjoy it. But it's like when a game is that long and you don't know how long it is. Like I kept thinking it was almost done. It
Yeah.
was like it was probably one of my favorite of all time like replay throughs of like
Oh well.
going back through a game that I've already played once, because I bought like the royal version, which is like the added, there's like an added chapter or whatever, and it's like knowing where the end is made it like, I don't know, like not less stressful but just less, I don't know. I truly don't even know how to put it into words. But it's like
Yeah, yeah.
going through it that second time. And the reason I had to go through it a third time is because I didn't take the 5 seconds it would have taken to Google, hey, how do I get the new stuff in Persona 5 Royal? Oh, make sure you do this by this date. Well, I'm past that date, so
Yeah.
New Game Plus. Okay. Here we
There
go
we go.
again. Um, and it's like it even got better that time because some of the more annoying, not annoying, but like harder to do game mechanics, you have like social skills you build up, and that dictates how far you can progress your like relationships with your friends, and that adds a whole other layer to the game. It's like the social stats you keep from your New Game Plus run.
Oh,
So
okay. That's a new game plus aspect.
yeah, so you
Yeah.
don't keep like character level, or you can keep your gear and stuff, but the game is still like a challenge going through the second time. But it's like you don't have to spend 3 days working at a flower store just so I can talk to my friend again and go on a date or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. Fair, fair.
But anyway,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it honestly, I think it was one of my favorite like replay throughs experiences ever. I could not get enough of that game. That's why it took me a while to beat Crisis Core, because I was like partway through Persona 5 when Crisis Core came out. And I was like, okay, I got to at least put in an hour tonight and just play some Crisis Core for a minute. I'll go back to Persona after.
Oh, that's amazing. And again, like just when the music kind of gets its claws in you and brings you in, you can kind of replay all sorts of stuff all the time.
So then when I'm listening to the soundtrack at work, I'm like, I just want to go home and play Persona.
Oh man, that's another comment that deserves some underlining. Is like, it's like I'm playing this game and I wish I could just play it nonstop, but I have a job and I need to,
To be able to
make a
afford
living.
these
So
games.
yeah, so it's like when I go to work, I listen to the soundtrack for said game, but I limit it to levels that I've gotten to so far. I don't
Right.
want kind of any musical spoilers,
Yeah,
and
same.
and it's like okay, I know track 6 is as far as I can go because that's
Yeah.
as far as I've made it, and so I'll limit my listening to that, and it's just like it kills me. I don't know why I do it. It completely wrecks me because I'm just like I'm not focusing on work at all. I'm just like
I
I can't
just
wait
want
to
to
get home and play
play.
this game again. Yeah, exactly. Like why am I doing this to myself? I'm torturing myself. But no, I totally do that. That's a
Yeah,
100% my move.
that's
And it
at
just
least
then
an
I get
us thing for sure.
and then you finally get home, like dinner's done, dishes are done, whatever, and it's like, okay, back in my happy place with this
Yeah.
game that I've been wanting to play. So, yep, yeah, 100%.
Perfect. Okay, that'll cover pretty much all of our sort of discussion for this episode. I know you got to go shortly. And I wanted, like I had mentioned offline, I'm going to try to keep these to around 2 hours or less. I
Yeah, and I
think
think
those
it's
are,
perfect.
yeah, that's a good time frame. So I don't have match plats today. I have something more fun. Um, I will give you some context for this because the funny part about this is you will have no context for. I'll explain. So
Okay,
this
perfect.
I have this friend at work who I was her like number two for like 2 years, and so I sat right next to her because I would help her with stuff. She was like a team lead, and you know, like she is such a good friend to me that when I come in when a new FF7 remake trailer dropped and I
Yeah,
watched it like 20 times and I needed to tell someone about what I just saw,
yeah,
I would turn to her, my friend Sarah, and I would just like, oh, Sarah, they showed this boss and it's like, it's this, but it's this guy and it's from this. And she just like, I think she plays The Sims and that's about it.
yeah, yeah.
And so she does not have extensive game knowledge. And I will go on these like kid on Christmas level, rants or not rants, but like
Uh,
exclamations.
I
And
need someone to listen to me
yeah,
for 10 seconds.
yeah. And I'm like, oh, and then I like pulled up a picture. I'm like, this is Tifa in the original. Look how good she looks in this. It's just like all this stuff. And she would just the good friend that she would just turn to me and be like, "That's awesome." It's
Yeah.
like, okay, thank you. I just need.
Hey, that's a good manager.
Yeah.
This is clearly important to you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
yeah.
she's a good friend. That's when I knew that we would be lifelong friends when she let
Yeah.
me talk about these games. Anyway, so that gave me an idea. Like it was like 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. This other podcast that I listen to, Easy Allies, they have like a write-in section for patrons, and I did this with them, and it was so funny that I was
Oh,
like,
nice.
I asked her before we recorded our first episode together, me and you. I was like, I want to do this game again with my brother at some point. Like, are you down if I get your help? She's like, yeah, no problem. So what I did, and the theme for this is these are all games that you have, I'm pretty sure, completed. I don't
Okay,
think you've platinumed them all, but you've played them all and completed them.
fair.
So I sent her 5 trailers of games that you have played, and I told her nothing. All I told her was like, give me 2 or 3 sentences of what you think this game is, and be
Yeah.
brutally honest because that's funnier when you do that.
Okay, nice,
So she pulled no punches because she has no idea what I'm showing her. Uh,
nice.
so
Okay, perfect.
so I will read you word for word what she wrote to me, and
And I have to tell you the game.
try and guess what game I'm talking about.
Okay, I really like this actually.
So,
Um,
this I call this game trailers without context.
okay,
Okay, ready for the first one?
yes. Okay, so games I have completed. You're pretty
Yeah,
sure. Okay, gotcha.
I'm sure you've beaten them all. I don't think you've platinumed them all, but you've at least rolled credits.
Beaten is fine.
Yeah.
And do I have a NES to PS5? Is all that fair game?
Oh, these are all at least PS4, like
Okay.
PS4 and up, because I guess that's what I'm seeing your trophies as. I don't. Yeah, I
Super.
don't think there was any PS3s, so
Okay.
PS4 and higher.
Good to calibrate myself. So okay,
Yeah.
go for it.
Okay, game number one. uh, Ginger Katniss Everdeen goes to war for revenge on this higher power, who apparently wronged her in many ways. He supposedly has mind control over robot transformer things, and the whole world just looks like a ripoff of Avatar.
Horizon Zero Dawn for sure.
I think it might have been Forbidden West, but I would accept.
Oh,
I forget actually which of the two I showed her trailer of, but I was prepared to accept both because that's pretty accurate to both.
and okay, and you showed her like the trailer. Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah.
Okay,
And I like if she used a word that was like in the title, I would take it out or something like just so it's
okay, yeah.
less
No,
obvious.
okay, for sure. Horizon.
Yeah,
1 or 2. Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ginger Katniss Everdeen. That's where I would have guessed it too. I think
Some reason mind control over.
because it was like the launch trailer, so like you're expected to have some knowledge of what this game's about, and she has no,
yeah.
she has none. Oh my
No.
god, it's too funny.
I love it. Okay, good. Okay,
Okay.
one for one.
One for one. Okay, game number two. In this adult version of Mulan, A young Mr. Miyagi trains yet another prodigy. This time, instead of a high school Cobra Kai dropout, he trains a samurai. As he grows up, he realizes he is no ordinary samurai, but actually a special samurai, a vengeful spirit, some might say. He is apparently essential to win the battle.
Oh man, is this oh man, sorry, I'm drawing a blank. The samurai game that I just played. Oh man, sorry.
It's a what?
Crap. Sorry.
Explain to me some of the gameplay of the game, and I can tell you if you're thinking of the right one. I don't want to give you any of the title.
Yeah, no. So it's like you're samurai. You're trying to find and fight the like the Mongolian guy.
Okay, yeah.
Like is that
Ghost of
yeah,
Tsushima.
Okay, so Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah,
oh,
I knew.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell you were thinking of the right game. Yes.
Sorry, Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah, no, 100%. Okay, no,
So one and a half.
Yeah, 1.5. No, that's fair. Who's the Mr. Miyagi?
I don't know. I don't know.
Anyway, Ghost of Tsushima, also amazing soundtrack, by the way.
Yes. I haven't beaten it, but I played enough to appreciate its music.
Anyway, okay. Sorry, I had a total brain fart there, but yeah, no, okay. Ghost of Tsushima.
The more you try to apply logic to these, the worse you'll do.
I'm glad you gave me a half point for that. So.
Yeah, I'll give you half.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Game number 3.
Okay.
Scientist dude ruins the world, causing a zombie apocalypse. Obviously, he dies, because why not? The only people looking for answers are half-naked women who are fighting the zombies, machines, and what seem to be corrupt or incompetent law enforcement.
Is this Nier Automata?
No, but that's actually a good guess. That's a good.
Okay.
I think I had her do that game for the other when I wrote into that other podcast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Zombies, half-naked women.
Yeah, I guess that is definitely a 2B. That would have been a 2B giveaway. Yeah, that's fair.
Like machines, kind of zombie-like. Sure. Okay. Let me think here. Like at first I was like, oh, it's Last of Us. And I was like, oh wait, half-naked women? No, I don't think that's really.
You're closer with Last of Us than you are with Nier.
Resident Evil didn't have kind of scantily clad stuff, but did they?
It is
Resident Evil 2 remake.
It is Resident Evil 2 remake. I think it might have been Ada, because she's got the red dress.
Yeah. Okay. Fair.
And I guess if it had a clip of Claire in like her classic outfit, it's like the jean shorts and jean jacket or something.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Fair. And I guess it was like Ada. Yeah. My bad. That is not a functional outfit. That's 100%. Yeah. What was it? Scientist dude, obviously evil, or something like that.
Scientist dude ruins the world, causing a zombie apocalypse. Obviously, he dies because why not?
Okay. Oh well, I'm sad I didn't get it right, but I'm also happy that I took us along a bit of a journey of some close guesses.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I can at least remember names of games this time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So this one was 4th, but I'm gonna do it last because it made me laugh the hardest. So I'm gonna flip these last 2.
Okay. I love this, by the way. This is fun.
It's so much fun. Okay, game number 4. Excuse me. Magic Marble Lady, who seems to be wearing a child's bath towel as clothes, puts together a special forces team to do God knows what. They've got the nerd, the hot muscle guy, the mentally unstable chick, and Lance from NSYNC. So clearly, no one will stand a chance.
What? Magic Marble? You have to say it again. I need to think about this.
Magic Marble Lady, and take that very literally. Magic Marble Lady, who seems to be wearing a child's bath towel as clothes, puts together a special forces team to do God knows what. They got the nerd, the hot muscle guy, the mentally unstable chick, and Lance from NSYNC. So clearly no one will stand a chance against them.
Is it the game that's in your background?
Which one?
Is it Final Fantasy 13?
No, but
Okay.
you're definitely on the right path.
Okay, I was just like, oh, she kind of has like this towel-y cape thing.
Oh, sure,
yeah,
like a scarf.
Yeah, marbles, crystals.
You're warm, I'll say.
Magic marble. Is it a Final Fantasy game?
Yes.
Is it Final Fantasy 10?
Nope.
Magic marble lady.
Take that as literally.
Oh, Final Fantasy 6, the Esper.
No.
No.
No, but you're so close.
Magic marble lady. Like, is it 7?
Yes.
And Materia? Okay, the bouncing. Okay. So is this a trailer for 7 or a remake?
It was Intergrade. So 7.
Okay.
Yeah. That's Yuffie.
Okay. So okay. Of course. Marble. Okay.
And she's got the Moogle poncho on. And it's like, to me, I see that, I'm like, oh yeah, it's just a Moogle. But to her, who has no friggin' idea what a Moogle is, it's like, what the hell is she wearing? When she watched that trailer, she was like, this is your favorite game of all time? I was like, oh, you don't understand.
And in the trailer, is she like juggling them around?
Yeah, it's that
intro
where she's like doing her fancy, like showing them off.
Yeah, no.
Like she's literally doing magic tricks with them. So yeah, magic marbles.
Like everything in hindsight, right? I'm just like, of course.
Lance from NSYNC.
Yeah, who's
Lance from NSYNC? I think it's what's his name, Sonon, her brother.
Oh,
like adopted brother. And
yeah.
The only reason, so when she had done it for the other thing I did, I think I sent her just like the 7 remake trailer, and she called Cloud a Backstreet Boy lookalike. So they definitely have a boy band aesthetic to someone who doesn't know.
That's fair. Okay.
We'll give a half point because you guessed Final Fantasy at least, yeah.
And I was thinking like Terra when she like calls an Esper and it kind of like the marbles kind of go.
Oh the little summon icon. Yeah. So remember, this is PS4 and on.
Sorry, my bad.
That would have helped.
I forgot the rules of the game.
Yeah, but you guessed Final Fantasy, which I think is deserving of half a point.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Magic marble.
I'm happy with my progress.
Yeah. Okay. This is the last one. Last one.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. The music in this trailer does not in any way suit what I'm watching, which seems to be an anime version of WWE or like Kung Fu Panda on steroids.
Tekken, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's so perfect.
I know. It's not wrong.
And like, okay, I would bet $1 trillion that either King or Kuma was in this trailer.
I'm sure he was.
Or Panda.
It was Kuma or Panda, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
But like hearing Tekken described as anime version of WWE is like, yeah, it kind of is.
You had anime version of WWE. I was like, I think I know what it is. Kung Fu Panda. Like, okay, yeah. I got this locked and loaded. There's no question.
Oh man, she sent me those on like Saturday, and I was crying at my desk. I was laughing so hard. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that was good. I know there's some work behind getting those, but we should do that again for sure.
I told her, I was like, I'll like maybe in like a month or 2 or something, I'll bug you with some more when I can find some good ones because I have to find ones that are like just crazy enough, but like she can still sort of follow what the trailer is trying to show her. But because there's some that just would not work. But yeah.
That was so good. That was a good segment.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. So yeah, we'll do that again at some point. It takes her like I'm sending her like 5 different like 4 or 5 minute trailers, and then she writes them up. So I'll give her a little break, but yeah, we'll do that again for sure because that's too funny.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so good. But anyways, no, this was a fun episode. This was a good time. I there's so much to talk about in video game music, so I'm glad we covered a lot.
And we'll do like I said, next time when we get together for this, we'll do like strictly Final Fantasy music because I have a bunch we can talk about, and I know you will have a bunch we can talk about as well on that.
Yeah.
So we'll leave that for the next one, and then I'll figure out. I still have a notebook full of stuff that we can discuss still, so we'll figure out the next one after that.
Cool.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks for giving us time on your trip to New Zealand. I appreciate that, Matt. And the next one will probably be in a couple of weeks because I know you got some stuff going on. So I'll get all this up. I do have the podcast on Spotify now for anyone listening that prefers listening on Spotify over YouTube for the sake of your phone battery. So I have that up there. We're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all that stuff. So just follow us there. And next time we'll deep dive into some Final Fantasy music because I got tons of stuff to talk about for that.
Of course.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay.
Any last thoughts?
Everyone. Nope. Just listen to video game music, Revengeance with the Wolf, and any of the other things we've talked about for sure. That's your homework.
Right on. Okay. Thanks for joining us, Matt. I really appreciate it. And thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you on the next one.
Cheers, everyone.